Welcome back to My Hero Academia anime review episode number 92. 91, excuse me. Sorry about that. Now, before I start my review, you'll probably be asking, Nick, are you going to be getting the newest My Hero Academia School Briefs book that's coming out tomorrow? Yes, I'm going to be getting that either presumably when I go to Atlanta this weekend, or I'm going to order next week. And that will be reviewed. Don't worry about that. But now, let's talk about the newest episode of My Hero Academia. Episode 112. I'm also going to talk about the newest chapter of the manga, which is chapter 328, which, not bad reaching that number. Now, this one's called Tomura Shigaraki Origin. Now, I should point out, though, this one covers chapters 237 to 239, and it covers most of chapter 240, with the exception of pages 12 and 13. Yeah, there's a couple to skip over. Oh, and don't worry, they will cover those episodes in 113, which is 113, which is going to be the finale for this season. Yes, it's going to be the season finale, and it's becoming some more stuff here and there, and I'm definitely looking forward to whenever they start adapting. Or at least when they get to, let's just say, season 2. Not to 6, which, hopefully we'll be getting to that next season. So, this episode starts off with Shigaraki, where he is just, this is him as a little kid, just after his after he accidentally kills his family, he is wandering the streets, nobody wants to help him because how creepy his face looks. Okay. Yes. So, the one when they try something like, nope. And then, of course, he's wondering, like, can someone help me? Of course, he's still scratching his neck. Yeah, that's a habit of his ever since he first showed up in the series. As explained here, that's a habit that he's had since he was a kid. He has a unnatural habit that keeps scratching his neck constantly. Why the heck does he keep scratching his neck? At one point, I do show that apparently he starts, like, almost look like it gets really bad. His scratching is really bad. Why his neck is so itchy? That's something that's been kind of hinted at in the series, and maybe he's afraid, and also was implied that the house they used to live in was causing, which made it worse. But they never really fully delved into it. As a matter of fact, apparently after his family died, he never treated it. No, he never did. Like, his mother would treat when he was younger, like when they showed last week's episode. This episode, no, nobody treats it. And they show that when he first meets All For One, takes back to his house. Now, we do see, for the first time ever in this series, All For One's face. Like, almost the full thing of it. You only see, like, the bottom half of his face. You never see the full thing of it. That's the weird thing about this character. And kudos for Funimation bringing back John Sweeney to reprise his role as this character. For this particular episode, we see him and Dr. Manura, I think his name is. The doctor appears in this episode. You see both flashback and the present day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, in this episode, they do mention something that was supposed to be, they kind of skipped over from 220 for some reason. Yes. Yeah, they reference a page in that one. Yeah. Let's see if I can find the doctor's name here. Dr. Uchigo? Yeah, you see both him in flashback and in present day, where you see him in his lab and you see him with All For One. We do see now, in case you're wondering, like, where the heck his hands from, they do show out last week's episode where this doctor made in the hands, and We do see the first time when Shigaraki puts on the hands in the episode. They show that. Like, he show him his first official kills as Tomura Shigaraki. He is no longer under his original name. We see that All For One has been teaching him somewhat. He doesn't beat him per se. You might think he's apparently a very good person. He doesn't do anything inappropriate to him as a child. He just gives him he basically gives the name Tomura, which means mournful. And then when he asks about the name Shigaraki, he says, "It's my last name." And you're thinking, really? Yes, really. And that's the weird thing about All For One. Like, this is something that is never explained about this character. What is his first name? And you're probably thinking, what is his first name? The anime never bothered to explain that. Nope, it never did. So, after it shows off the hands thing, and of course him basically after killing those two guys with Beam Up prior to that, Shelby's like evolving to his like actual look that he would actually have modern day. That's they wrap up the flashback. And pretty much at that point, they go back to present day, where they pretty much conclude this fight between him and Redestro, where Redestro has sort of like an evolved form of his black stress form, his giant form, where he kind of looks like he has like a stone mech form, and of course Shigaraki just pretty much eviscerates that. Though Redestro also ends up amputating his own legs in order to avoid touching the ground. And well, he sees the fact that he sees in Shigaraki stuff he sees that he should have seen himself, but he pretty much surrenders, and he gives up the leadership of the Military Liberation Army to Shigaraki, and everyone has no choice but obey him. And of course, they mention, and they have Shigaraki mention to him, "You have me CEO of this particular corporation." He's like, "Yeah." They have a flashback in here of the fact that Lee originally money, which the thing is, they actually never included that in the original adaptation of episode 108. And you're thinking, really? Yeah, for some reason they actually never adapt that particular scene in the thing. Yeah, I'm not really sure why. It just that's pretty much what they did. So 4 episodes after they adapt the episode, and they also cut out stuff related to Heroes Rising, which that movie was fantastic. I saw the movie Heroes last year. It was really good. So he surrenders, and then like 1 week after he surrenders, they apparently spent time to pay for his pay for all the League of Villains, all the medical bills. By the way, Toga and Twice are basically being chased, are basically like running, and so here's the thing. Dobby is probably the only person who probably didn't receive any injuries, surprisingly. Mr. Compress, I don't think he got any injuries in this one. Mostly we just Twice and Toga. Those two got severely injured in this fight. Of course, along with Shigaraki, of course. And of course, we eat sushi, and of course, Skeptic is like, "Come on, guys, let's go to the meeting." And like, "What are we finish sushi? Our company paid for that, so let's just go." And of course, they show up this grand room, which they do cut out a particular character who's actually in the scene, which I saw from the preview. That's going to be next week's episode, so don't worry about that. They're not going to cut it out. So we have Redestro announcing he has pretty much abdicated position as the leader of the Military Liberation Army to Shigaraki, and Shigaraki has renamed the Military Liberation Army to the Paranormal Liberation Army. Paranormal Liberation Front. Yes, he has pretty much named it that. And well, with pretty much like, so then of course where they also had to use their money to basically like cover up exactly what happened there, or mention it was some kind of unknown villain attack, and the unarmed civilians who had corks pretty much defeated whatever villain attack it was, and proclaimed as heroes. And that's the episode. But I got handed this episode. This episode was really good, and I can't wait for next week's episode, which is going to be the season finale of season 5. And I will give my final thoughts on the season in that very episode. Alright, now moving on to News Chapter Manga, Chapter 328. No Man is an Island. Yes, that is the name of the News Chapter Manga. Which, the thing with this chapter is, it's all focused on All Might. Chapter starts off basically at Tartarus, about 1 month prior. Yes. So, I was like, the phrase like, women, give me some women. I never thought they would start collecting females. I'm not sure who this guy is. And he gets the story said by this mysterious person. I'm not sure who he is. He gets some unknown guy who just happened to be a slasher. Is it a serial killer? No, it's just some other guy who just happened to kill people. He's like, if Tartarus is fallen, Warsman is dire straits. And apparently he has information, so he tries to get out of the person as quickly as possible. So he grabs the information, like acquire information. And apparently his name is Krunsum Azagurt. You work with Shira. This is not for you. So something that matters, huh? Store data. You killer. Drop the must reach for our people. Give it back. It's not for you. Must on duty. This error has gone awry. Rest assured, your conviction will reach the right man. You're a man or a beast. I'm merely an ally to the world as it should be. Beasts are the same. And he witnesses All for One just, taking command of all the prisoners who basically escaped from the prison. And then we come for All Might, where and some guy says, somebody trust, of course he walks and apparently gives it to, All Might. And of course the police is like glide patching it with Deku, reach from a killer like this. Mentioned that, it's standalone, it's very isolated. So normally no one else had access to data in a form. It mentioned, as of data itself, it concerns the cause of their system shutdown. So Mary Rage Shigaraki made existence itself in the main battle. In that case, the prison was hit with those blasts over and over, both inside out. And of course, we have a cat guy who says, because All For himself must have synchronized his vistas residing within Tomura Shigaraki. Well, yes, because his consciousness inside his quark is a conduit for Shigaraki sharing thoughts. I've experienced the same phenomenon with All For One. The problem is, it isn't a two-way channel. He mentions the visage of me with an All For One seems to have a One For All seems to have access to my thoughts, but I've never experienced it. And he mentioned when we touched Deku's arm, he was in the hospital. And mentioned we believe that his robot is locked up 500 miles meters below the sea. Reach specific thoughts from that visage. Yeah, lots of chatting in this chapter. Talk about the data. And of course, only he and his vision could interpret it corresponding at that time. If we assume they discuss the true schedule, then Tomura Shigaraki will keep vessel in 3 days' time. And we cut to the UN. Well, I think it's supposed to be the UN based on the outside. But this is like this middle platform there. I don't remember the UN ever having this, but it kind of looks like the UN. Yeah, does it look like the UN? To me, it does. I know because I've been to the UN, and that looks like the UN. If you're asking, when did I go to the UN? I went to the UN like a decade ago. With myself and my dad, we actually had a city pass, and we got a brief tour of the UN. We actually did not see the main assembly room per se. We saw some outside. I think we did see it. I think I remember we did see the assembly room, but was nobody in there at the time. But we did not go inside. It was part of a tour group. We took a brief tour of the UN. So we have what appears to be the Permanent Council. I think it's supposed to be just various people. They're all discussing what should be happening next about the heroes. And apparently, it looks like that the U.S. has sent a hero. Hey, no skin on our back, sir. Star. The mission guaranteed the green light. Soon a request comes from All Might himself. And then we see the debut of America's #1 superhero, Stars and Stripe. My master's in a pickle. Would I think twice? So apparently this beautiful woman was a student of All Might's. And here she is, Star and Stripe. Wow. I wonder what your reaction is with Deku's going to be, because he's also a student of All Might's. There definitely was a good chapter. I like the new character who popped at the very end. Now, Stars and Stripe, obviously a take on Captain America, obviously. But more like a female take on Captain America. Which, that's good for that. It does progress the chapter up. This particular arc is progressing a little bit, per se. I would say it's produced like one step, per se. But I think the best thing about this chapter, well, is, of course, the All Might discussion was quite nice. I think that a lot of they spent several pages talking about Tartarus, which, fine. I didn't discuss that fully, purely because there was a lot of dialogue about Tartarus. The prison where All for One was kept. But the other thing I thought was really good with this chapter was the debut of the brand new superhero who's gonna show up, who's gonna play a role in this particular arc. Star and Stripe, a very beautiful woman who's gonna show up, and apparently she's the U.S. #1 superhero, which that's gonna be interesting. And I'm gonna love interaction with not only Deku, but also Japan's #1 superhero, Endeavor, and plus all the other superheroes. Imagine if she basically, the first place she goes, when she goes there, goes to pay a visit to the UA. Because I'm sure she probably wants to see the students, and she probably wants to meet Deku, because he's like her, she's a student of All for One. Because they mentioned that this was basically not All for One. They said it was a request from All Might. Apparently, they have her fly on a type of jet that, from what I've heard, has been discontinued. Yes, it is a stealth jet. Yep, a stealth jet, which, from what I heard, has been discontinued. Was discontinued about 20 years ago, from what I heard. Yeah, discontinued around like 2000. This is what I've heard. This is a rumor I heard. But it's not used very much anymore. No, it isn't. Probably because some people didn't think it was necessary, or probably because the thing was too expensive. But her riding on top of a stealth plane, that was awesome. But in case you're curious still about the black stuff on that, that's actually paint. A very special paint they put on there. I kind of know about this because they mentioned the episode Jag. Yep. But the chapter is really good. I love it. I'm going to give the chapter a 9 out of 10. Because it feels as though we're just progressing this arc and set up a brand new character. Yep. So yeah, that's it for Particular View. Next one, One Piece. Okay, see you next video. Bye.